All right, in our first story tonight, Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Awaji, has responded to recent charges leveled against founder of defunct UT Bank, Kofi Amoabeng, and CEO of dissolved Beige Bank, Mike Nyinako. According to her, the development complements actions by the central bank to prosecute officials involved in the banking sector collapse.
Expected them to conduct their after we completed our cleanup exercise, that we had passed on all relevant information to the law enforcement agencies, and we expected them to conduct their own investigations and proceed to do the needful if they found any behavior to have had criminal implications. And so I believe what we saw yesterday was in line with what the law enforcement authorities may have found to be behavior that they needed to follow up on. So part of what we'll be talking about here with the honorable men and women of the police service is really a customer bill of rights. That's really what it's about. So it's about educating them on the rights and responsibilities of customers. And we do have protocols in place that clearly establish for financial service providers what it is they're supposed to do in terms of behavior towards their customers. And we do intend to do a lot more education. You may have seen that we have advertised a hotline, a consumer complaint hotline, and this is really one of such mechanisms where we tell the public, if you do have problems with your financial service provider, here's a line.
Meanwhile, the central bank has embarked on a rigorous sensitization program on the need for you to know your rights and responsibilities in Ghana's financial sector. More from the second deputy governor as the regulator met with police officials at the Accra Regional Headquarters.
Following the banking sector cleanup, there has been concern over the low confidence level that has riddled the industry, even though deposits have so far picked up. To this end, the regulator engaged the Ghana Police Service in the first of a series of a sensitization exercise. Elsie Awaji is the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana.
We've seen too many fingers burned in the recent past in Ghana. We've seen too many people lose money, and it is a definite hope that that doesn't happen anymore. And we are doing all we can to engage key stakeholders like the police service to ensure that we're able to mobilize ourselves to enforce the law strictly sooner than later.
Meanwhile, Madam Elsie Awaji has issued a word of caution to all players in the financial sector who flout the regulator's rules.
Financial services are licensed activities, and we expect that the persons or the institutions that engage in them are licensed as the law requires them to do. And if the police service find anybody that is engaging in financial services, in particular taking money from the public or promising loans to the public that is not regulated by us, that they report this and actually help us to enforce the laws to stop that from even going any further.
The exercise is expected to be replicated across some selected public institutions across the country.
Another big story today, three pharmaceutical companies, Danex, Iton and Starwin Pharmaceuticals Limited, have officially listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange today after the delisting of Starwin and Iton. The listing is part of expansion plans by the company to enter into other African markets. Speaking to Joy Business after the listing, chairman of the merged entity, Nick Amatefio, disclosed that the company is looking at the Anglophone West African market to begin with. There is more in the following report.
Company will have a bigger financial portfolio to raise additional capital from the market. By this, Das Pharma may be the largest pharmaceutical company in Ghana with the merger. According to the chairman, Nick Amatefio, the strategy to enter the West African market will begin soon.
We should be. We were looking at the English speaking, so that's Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, yeah. And then we hold Nigeria as a very important but tough market. So you go there only when you have well thought out strategy and analysis on the risk side, yeah? Because Catapreco has been there with disastrous results, yeah?
Chief Executive of the new entity, Daniel Appiaje-Kisi, is confident the new company will grow to cover the African market.
Expecting that Das Pharma will be bigger and better than the three legacy companies, which were Danex Limited, Iton Drug Manufacturing Limited, and Starwin Products Limited. So in a nutshell, we're expecting that the new company will be bigger and better, and that we can grow, and growth is looking at Ghana and beyond.
Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Ekwa Feji, has been speaking about what the listing means to the Ghanaian bears.
Like ours, where you have entrepreneurs merging their entities, and it sends a strong signal out there that we should get our local companies that are small, medium size, to merge and become big entities, so that they can gain from the positive synergies that can come out of mergers, for instance. And that is why it makes it very significant. They move from market capitalization of 5 million and 70 million for Starwin and Iton respectively to 33 million by doing that merger. And therefore, size increases. They can get a bigger market share. You had the chairman of Das Pharma speaking about it. You had the CEO also speaking about it. So very historic for the exchange, becomes a merger of three entities, local entities. We've never had that before.
The company will be using technology to serve customer needs as part of its strategy.
All right, and so let's get some bit of an analysis on this story. Joining us via Skype is Head of Research at Databank, Alex Wahin. Thanks for your time tonight. To begin with, just refresh our memories. How many pharmaceutical companies do we have on the stock market?
Well, before today, we had 3 pharmaceutical companies in Iton, SPL, which is Starwin Product Limited, and then Intravenous Limited. But with this move, or with this measure, we are going to have one sort of a little bit sizable company in Das Pharma, and also Intravenous Limited, which is listed on the GACS.
All right. Because I was going to ask you, what's the big deal that we've got this meshed entity now listing on the stock market?
Well, I think it's a welcome news from 2 perspectives. From operation perspective, the company can obviously derive some level of synergistic benefit from the merger, because obviously when you have 3 companies coming together, that could lead to some level of efficiency in the company. But from the market perspective, I would say it could also provide investors some level of options in terms of investment in the pharmaceutical sector. Because I mean, when you look at historically, when you look at Iton and also SPL or Starwin, they are relatively small companies listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. But with this, their market capitalization will be increased, I think, from 22 or so to 33 million Ghana cedis. It's still a small company, but relatively, I think it will give the pharmaceutical sector some kind of prominence or some kind of visibility a little bit on the stock market, and that could possibly mean that investors could begin to have a conversation around it, depending on whether the company can actually increase profitability for investors.
One last question: synergy for profitability. I guess this is what this is all about. And it's early days yet, right, to talk about whether or not it is going to fare well on the stock market. But let's look at the future and what the prospect is after today, when there's so much excitement.
Well, I think the prospect is linked to how well the company can do in terms of its fundamentals. I mean, what investors are looking for is profitability. I mean, how the company can improve its profitability and also pay some dividend to shareholders. And so for me, I think that is linked to the company's performance in terms of the share price is actually linked to its growth in the fundamentals of the business.
All right, thanks for your time tonight, Alex Boahen. He is head of research at DataBank. Moving on, the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, says it is exploring avenues to get government to introduce new regulations that will ban the importation of electrical gadgets that do not have efficiency stars on them. However, traders of imported appliances are objecting to this, suggesting government rather endorses their products with energy-efficient labels.
Sale of appliances without the energy-efficient labels. An online article by international media house the BBC in 2012 quotes the then head of Energy Commission, Alfred Ofosu-Ahinkra, that there will soon be a ban on the importation of old appliances, particularly refrigerators. This is because many old fridges contain chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, which damage the Earth's ozone layer. However, almost a decade down the line, the menace still prevails as some major streets of Accra have their pedestrian walks filled with appliances. The Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, the body responsible for the management of the Millennium Challenge Compact, an initiative to boost the energy sector, has introduced the energy efficient labels to educate the public on energy conservation. Over the years, the authority has also been doing its best to ensure that energy is used efficiently. I paid a visit to the authority where I interacted with the head of Energy Efficiency and Demand Side Management Project, Sylvester Ayayi.
Energy efficiency is really key because, just like you said in your intro.
Now to the Joy Business Van. Ghana's poultry industry has seen a decline for almost 2 decades. The decline has been blamed on competition from cheap imports and decreasing profitability of egg production. However, management of Ghana's biggest automated poultry farm is hoping to change that storyline. The Joy Business Van today visits Acro Farms Limited at Apasare in the eastern region to learn more about the technology which could potentially transform our poultry sector.
Be the first time you're hearing of the village of Apasare, but the eastern region town is home to Ghana's biggest automated poultry farm. It started operations just about a year ago. In fact, the owner, Benson Opoku, only wanted to run the farm on a small scale at his home. Who would have wanted to do this on a large scale anyway, seeing that the poultry sector was steeply declining? But that plan changed after he was convinced he could operate on a larger scale with an automated system. Benson Opoku decided to take the risk, and the outcome, a 40,000 bed equipment with the potential of producing tens of thousands of eggs. Project consultant Ben Obredu is taking me on a tour of the facility. He was instrumental in the acquisition of this setup.
We saw that there's a big potential market which we can explore, but cost of production is making a lot of the poultry farmers not to expand or grow. So for us, we saw that bringing in technology like this can make us produce more and thereby reducing our cost of production.
What technology are we talking about? The fully automated battery cage system imported from China. It ensures minimal human contact of birds with their own drop-ins, and prevents outbreak of diseases from the external environment. It's got a hatchery and a feed processing plant.
Feeding them, you don't use our hand to feed them. Cleaning the room, the manure removal system take out. We don't give them water because of the automated water system. They drink the water themselves through the nipple. So taking care of them is so easy. You just need only 2 hands. You just need only 2 hands to take up all this waste in a day.
Aqua Farm's main focus now is egg production, and this setup enables it to achieve a 90 to 95% laying rate compared with the deep litter system, which could have around 60%.
The eggs are dropping, so this is the egg collection system. It's collects all the eggs from the layer house, then it moves into this collection system and packaging system. So this collect the eggs, and this equipment will package the eggs into the crates. So as you can see, the eggs are coming out from the layer house.
Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Ben tells me every 2 hours, the egg collection system can pack over 1,000 eggs. So far, 13 million cedis has been invested in the farm, 70% self-funded and 30% from the Exim Bank under the One District, One Factory initiative. Cost of feed is probably the biggest challenge every poultry farmer faces.
With the technology, we cut wastage out. So our cost of production will be reduced a bit. Then also, we are looking at getting our feed component locally. So we get the maize from the farmers, then we process it to give it to our birds. And we are looking at getting maize cheaper. Then for us to further reduce it, we are starting to plant our own maize, grow our own maize. With that, we will also cut down the cost. So when you put all this with a good management system, we will be able to produce at a lower, the cost lower. Then we will also sell our products at a good price.
Looks like Agro has got it all figured out. And oh, the droppings of the beds, which are gathered separately by the system, Ben tells me, are currently being processed into manure. The manure will be used in the cultivation of maize and further cut down on the cost of purchasing feed. Meanwhile, the farm is undergoing expansion. Management hopes to increase the number of beds from 40,000 to 500,000. In future, they would also want to venture into the production of broilers, but then they would face stiff competition from imports.
It's about price. Most of our local farms are not able to produce on large scale, and thereby reducing their cost of production. So their prices are a little bit higher than the imported one. And you know, with our standard of living, most of our people, Ghanaians in the lower level, cannot afford those ones. So they would rather go in for the foreign ones.
Aqua Farms is positive the investment in technology will drive down prices and make it outcompete foreign imports. It's been a good year so far, and management is looking forward to the next.
And that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwam.